How's it going, patrons? Gast here, giving you the Eliwood support science behind the scenes. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Well, first of all, guys, I want to say thank you so much for the support. I got my first payout from Patreon today. And I also found out it was unconverted US dollars, and I'm from Canada, so it gets converted into even more, which contributes more to the rent, which actually makes my life a little bit, just a bit, easier in terms of paying that off. So I really appreciate that. It's really great how bad my Canadian dollar is, but it works out in some cases. And in fact, getting paid in American just helps in general because it's kind of just like a little boon to like everything you do, which is just friggin' sweet. I love it. Anyways, guys, so the Eliwood support science video was honestly it took the longest. It was 40 minutes. But it was honestly such a fun time. I got to play through FE7 again with an actual purpose, and going back with a more mature head, going back to this game, I had to play Eliwood mode and Hector mode, and seeing, learning new things about the playthrough and like picking up on things I hadn't like noticed before. Mostly about, just the sort of intricacy behind Ninian and Eliwood's relationship was really refreshing, and it's something I never was able to pick up on when I was a kid, because I didn't really have the capacity to even like understand or comprehend any of these, these nuances or these, secrets and what the impact of those secrets were and like the timing of them. The entire Uther thing, I didn't even notice until I kind of learned to like read into things deeper and critically analyze things. I didn't even know about that Uther and what it meant, or even like what Hector's development actually was. And I never really had any deep feelings towards Hector until I did the support science, where I found out so much cool stuff about him and how deep he really is, and how the strength and like the forebodingness of Hector. Yes, of course, that's appealing, and it's really cool to see this kind of Spitfire do what he does. But the more fun, and I wouldn't say fun, but the more interesting and I guess fun to learn part is, the impact of, Uther's life with him, and the impact of Oswin and Uther's decision to leave their illness out of the picture with him, just so Hector wouldn't dwell on his decisions to leave for Eliwood. And just his personal journey of becoming, like, just growing up. Like, it was a journey of growth for him. And, he found out that, it's not about, strength isn't about, being this total badass all the time. Like, you can also find strength in your weakness. And that was a really cool thing I learned about Hector. And I think a lot of people don't really know that about him. And I really hope that, the point of the video and the point of, like, talking about Hector so much was just to, it was also sort of a learning experience. It was both like, yes, Eliwood is the catalyst for Hector's development, but also Hector develops, right? Like, I feel like that's something that people don't really know. And when I talk about that, it really made an impression on some people, and it made a really big impression on me too, because I didn't really expect to be sort of touched by that aspect. And the Ninian relationship, it was really interesting to like kind of construct it. It reminded me a lot of what I did with Ford support science, where I sort of made a story out of the supports and ordered them in a certain way so they can actually, reveal one thing after another. And the same thing happened with this one, where it was, you have to, if you're doing the canon run with Ninian and Eliwood, you have to play it out and have the two supports happen before, and then understand what happens in the story and have this development and have like the growing angst and guilt and stuff like that, and then have it climax into the death of Ninian. And I thought, the intricacy of that relationship tied in so deeply with the story was really cool, and like really and it made that relationship really nice. And it's interesting because Eliwood isn't, like I said in the video, Eliwood isn't so much an impressively written character by just his supports and just his default character, much like Ninian isn't that impressive of a character by herself. It's how they react together in the story which makes it really impressive. And granted, Ninian isn't really fantastic in the story itself, but the way Eliwood works with her and the chemistry they have makes them, you know, it's the what is it? What's it called? The sum is greater than the value of the parts or something like that. And that's kind of what it is here. Eliwood and Ninian are kind of unremarkable as characters if you're just talking about their supports and who they are. But when they're in the story, it makes them so much better. And, you know, Ninian has agency, and Ninian does stuff in the story. Like, you know, it's not like super brave, but Ninian does, you know, she sacrifices herself for Nils. She tries to make up for, you know, killing Albert by fighting alongside Eliwood, which, you know, when I first played Fire Emblem, Ninian always struck me as a character who was very, very passive and kind of just like this damsel in distress all the time. But when I look back, and after this video, I do see that Eliwood, or that Ninian has agency, and that she has, you know, she does take action. She just does it in Ninian's way. Like, she does it in her own way, which is, you know, trying to contribute to the team. She can't fight, but she'll do everything else that she can do in order to, like, participate and be, you know, helping the cause. She's not just gonna stand there like an idiot and just like let herself be taken and stuff like that. She'll, you know, she literally puts her life on the line to protect Eliwood. And I thought that was a pretty like profoundly impactful moment in the story was when Ninian sort of builds up her own agency, and she actually does something with her life in that, well, she doesn't, not with her life, well, yeah, with her life. She actually does something that, you know, makes a big impact, instead of just sort of like standing in the background and just like losing her memory all the time. The script took a really, really long time to make, because not only do I have to play through the game, I have to get the gameplay footage, and then I have to play through Hector mode to do his part, and then I have to write the script, and the script was so long. In fact, there was even more about the script that I had to cut out. I cut out my breakdown of Fiora's C and B support. I cut out some things here and there that just kind of they weren't fluff, but they weren't really contributing to the overall point I was making. There was some criticism about the video, about my friends when they were reviewing it, about how I kind of focused more on summarizing what was going on, rather than actually talking about like the implications and stuff. And in the first draft, it was like that. In the first draft, I focused a lot on summarizing what was going on, instead of actually talking about talking about the implications, or just the analysis behind everything. And then I was speaking to like these people who like I confide with when it comes to the support sciences, and they helped me sort of flesh out, you know, the argument more so than the summarization and the analysis, like the actual point I'm trying to drive home. And that, after that sort of went down, things really started to come together, and the script really started to shape up much better in the second draft. And the recording took a while. And I actually did something different with this recording, is where I recorded like 10 minutes, because it was a 40-minute script, so I couldn't really I don't think my jaw could handle like talking for 40 minutes and making these blunders in the script, and then like restarting and then doing this over and over. So I did like 10-minute like cuts where I would like talk for I would do the script for like 10 minutes and then edit the audio in those 10 minutes and then continue over. And so it wasn't like one giant focus on the audio and then one giant focus on the editing. I chopped it off into little bits and pieces, and I think that really helped make it feel like it went by quicker. It was sort of more dynamic and just switching in between talking and editing and talking and editing, and in between those breaks I could actually like rest my jaw and like rest my voice, because talking for 40 minutes in a script, trying to be like really clear and like very slow and composed and like not trying to not make mistakes or whatever, takes a lot out of me. Like, it takes a lot out of anyone, and I can't imagine like anyone who like does scripted videos has to like edit so many of like the slurs and like the tripping over your words. There's actually so many instances where you will try to say a single sentence and it will just not come out. Like, it will not come out. For some reason, you just can't say the string of words, and then it's just impossible to say. And you have to like, you yell at yourself and you're like, oh my God, these are words. I say these things all the time, and they still don't come out. And I think trying to have a more focused, like, dynamic sort of approach to this video really helped with that. In terms of, you know, the video itself, editing wasn't that bad. I tried some new methods of the edits. I did a lot of, you know, those singular cipher card pans, which really helped. Like I said before in the Xander video, that really helps to you know, just have a talking point and then just have an image, because people's attention are just driven by the image, and then they can listen to the voice. This is a really minor thing, but if you noticed in the previous, like in the Ford video, since the support the support room, it doesn't have an option to like make the text go at max, so you have to like consistently hit A so like the text appears. And in this video, I had a fading transition that lasted like 1/10 of a second every time there was like a cut in the speech bubbles, so it wouldn't seem so jaggedy and jarring. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I tried to smoothen out and try to like make it seem more less like jagged and rickety, if that makes any sense. So that was I think that really helped with the flow of the video, just like not as many jagged edits as before. That was, you know, honestly, like, I don't really know what else I can say about it. I think it might be better if you guys ask me questions about the video. I think that would make it way more productive for me to figure out what you guys want me to talk about when it comes to these behind the scenes videos. It was not, I'll tell you what, it wasn't at all like the Xander videos where it took a really long time to think about something to write, especially in part 2. This video, I kind of knew everything I needed to know, because it's funny because my friend Lack of Interest, who is a very like, he's an FE7 whiz kid when it comes to the supports and the characters, and me and him talked about Eliwood and Hector for a long time before the support science series was even ever built. Like, this was even before like the Azura video, where he and I talked about you know, an idea of like a series of talking about characters and their supports and stuff. And then, you know, I thought up of a draft with the Hector and Eliwood stuff, and I never really showed him because it kind of went nowhere, and then I didn't really know what to do and how to approach the video or make the video at all. And then the Azura video, when that came out, I sort of got a ground, and then it's all sort of improved from that first support science. And then I think it culminated into like sort of not an improvement of the craft of these support science videos. And then the Eliwood was just, it was just at the right time where I knew how to format these videos and I knew what to do. If I tried to do the Eliwood video first, I think it would be a mess, because I didn't have my two guys who just scrutinize my writing and scrutinize my script until like it's satisfying and it's improved upon. If I didn't have them, it would have been a bad go. So, you know, it took time, and it's interesting that I started with thinking about Eliwood and wanted to do this video, and then the last support science, which I honestly think is one of my best. I think my best one is the part 1 of Xander, because it actually had a lot of points and it was backed by a lot of things, and it was like kind of, I wouldn't say antagonistic, but it was like, it had a point to prove. The Eliwood video also had a point to prove, but it wasn't really like scrutinizing anything. And I think it's definitely more of a challenge to like criticize something well rather than praise it. But that said, I try not to blindly praise it, Eliwood, because yeah, I tried to be fair and like, unbiased and whatever, right? You can't really be unbiased when it comes to like arguing a point. You're on a side. That's a thing. Oh, I guess I can talk about some really weird, I mean, there wasn't a lot of negative comments at all for the Eliwood video, but I remember some guy, he sent me his video of this like Wrath and Lyn breakdown, and I looked at the comments just to see, like, I watched part of the video and then I scrolled down, and then someone was like, this was better, or like this had a potential, at least it wasn't like that train wreck gas station support science or something like that. So I read this thread of comments, and then apparently this guy was like criticizing the fact that I was emoting too much, like I was speaking enthusiastically, like as if that was a bad thing. Like, like, I don't really know what the alternative would be. Like, if you're not trying to speak passionately or trying to like speak in a persuasive manner instead of just being completely monotone, apparently to him that's a bad thing. And then someone else commented on the Eliwood video and they were like, this guy's monotone voice ruins the video. And it's just like, I mean, I'm obviously not saying, like, I'm obviously not trying to please everybody, because that ship has fucking sailed. And I do a pretty good job at pleasing the audience. I mean, the like and dislike ratio is pretty solid, but it's just weird, these really like kind of out there criticisms, and then like you can't, it's just that those sort of like, you literally can't please everyone. Like, some guy's gonna say you emote too much, or you're too passionate in your voice and it detracts from the argument or something, or it's filled with bias because it's passionate. And then you have the other side who's just like, yeah, no, this is completely monotone and ruins the video. Yeah, there's some, but for the most part the comments were really positive. And it really was encouraging, and I'm really happy that I vindicated a lot of people's beliefs in Eliwood. And it's funny too, and speaking of vindication, I think that title, feature length vindication, was like the best title I think I've had for a video like ever. I'm really proud of that one. I'm really proud of that video. Just in general, man, like, I don't like I said, I don't think it was my best support science, but it was definitely the funnest to make. It was definitely really fun to go back to FE7 and do it. And I think a lot of people who liked Eliwood or who had doubts about Eliwood were impacted by the video. That's, at least that's what it says in the comments. And that's kind of the point, right? Like, I felt that Eliwood was slept on big time. He's not even a bad combat unit either. Like, he's like upper mid tier of the efficiency list. Like, people always shit on him being a bad unit, not being Hector or Lyn, but Hector has base 5 move on promotion, and Lyn sucks. Lyn has not even a good crit rate, and bows are kind of useless for her. So like, screw you, okay? Screw you, haters. Eliwood has a horse on promotion. It's white. He has a cool animation with the Durandal. He's awesome. He's great. Eliwood is the best lord in that game in terms of combat capability, I think. If you're trying to play efficiently, Hector's not going to do it for you, because he's stuck at 7. He's stuck at 5 move. He's just stuck at 5 move. And yeah, like, I think 5 or 4 move as a knight, or 4 move as a lord, or is it just 5 move in both? I can't remember, but I remember he's stuck. He's like, he has general movement, and that's just awful. That's not good. You can't work with that. You can boots him up, but then I'd rather boots like Ninian or some shit like that, or Eliwood, so he has 9 move or something like that. Yeah, Eliwood's great. I really had fun making that video, and I think, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too, guys. I have a question. If you guys mind answering, what do you think was my best support science so far, and what do you think was my worst? Be honest. I'd like to know. I'll say, like, my worst support science, I actually thought my parry video was the worst one, but after reading that like insane, I don't know if you guys seen it, but like that insane response on fucking DeviantArt that I still haven't had like the heart to read, I think that vindicated my belief in my parry video. I mean, of course there was some, I'll admit there was some kind of nitpicky points that I put in that parry video, but the overall argument that she breaks characters, I know still stands. I believe that, and I don't think she's really hard to defend. And it's not that mental illness is indefensible, it's the fact that like she's in this army, which is like indefensible in my opinion. In terms of the worst, I don't remember. I think the Camilla video was kind of a stretch for the most part. The Azure one was, I think, just excused for being my first, but I think it was, you know, pretty good for a first video in the series. I had a really fun time making the Nyx one. The Nyx and Eliwood, I think, were my favorite ones to make. The Xander part 1, I think, is my best one so far, and my worst one, I think, might be the Camilla, just because it's just stretching a lot. But I also think I did a pretty good job making that video too. Like, you know, I think the edits were cool in that video, like the music change and stuff like that. And then, you know, it was fun. These videos are fun to make. Anyways, I'm gonna tell you guys too that the next support science is on Nino. I put up a poll on Twitter between Nino, Lyn, and Renault, and Nino won it, or she's winning it, and she's winning like pretty unanimously. So Well, not unanimously, but she's winning pretty significantly. Like she's in a solid first place lead. So that's going to be the next support science, which is going to be kind of fun. She's an interesting character. She has an interesting part in the story, so it should be fun to write. Anyways, guys, that was 20 minutes of the behind the scenes. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for supporting me. It means a lot. I hope that you've been enjoying the Echoes playthrough and stuff like that. And yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. Like, and if some of you guys somehow aren't in the Patreon Discord chat, I implore you to go in. I'm there all the time. We're always talking. We're always having a good time. We're always talking about general stuff or Echoes things or stuff like that. So if you aren't in the Discord chat yet, get in there, man, because it's a blast. It's a good time. All right, guys, catch you next time. Deuces.